Well, the hunt is heightened surveillance operations across Britain's airports with fears he could have travelled further afield. Security queues at Glasgow Airport and Manchester slowed down as officials rigorously checked the ID of every person boarding a flight. For more on this, I'm joined by former Detective Chief Inspector at the Met Police, Chris Philips. Chris, good evening to you. Welcome. Just take us through what the Met and intelligence agencies will be doing right now to track this man down.
Well, this is certainly something that's not great for the police to have to do, having already caught him once to have to go through this. But listen, anyone that's on the run will need someone to help them out, and the first thing the police will be doing is checking his old locations, all his contacts, anyone that might owe him a favour. But I think, you have to bear in mind, Ian, that anyone helping this guy is committing very serious criminal offences and will go to prison. So I don't think a lot of people will want to do a great deal to help this man.
What about the time frame in terms of trying to track him down? What sort of time frame network do they operate within? Time, I would imagine, is heavily of the essence.
Yeah, time is distance, isn't it? The longer he has on the run, the further he can get away from London or wherever else he might be. So the key thing is that the police will be looking at locations that he knows. It's the first thing that you do if you're on the run, is to go back to your known locations. Hopefully, he'll be looking at people that he thinks will help him, and with any luck, from the police's perspective, someone will decide that's not a very good idea. I don't want to spend a few years in prison myself, and we'll dob him in. I think the strange thing is that this was able to happen really in what is one of our tightest prisons. It's not the highest level. He wasn't in Belmarsh, which is quite interesting, and he's clearly not viewed as someone that's going to do anything really stupid, or he would have been a Category A prisoner.
Here's the bit I think many of us are scratching our head on this, Chris. I mean, you tend to think that nobody could escape from a prison in the 21st century. They've got big walls and barbed wire and massive locks on doors. You might imagine it would be impossible to get out of one of those places, but figures show that more than 700 prisoners have escaped or been released in error from jails over the past 10 years. What is going wrong with our systems?
Well,
and in this particular prison as well, it's not that unusual, relatively speaking, for somebody to escape.
It's unusual for the number of people that go into those prisons, Ian. I worked a few days at that prison when the prison officers were on strike, and it's a really old, dilapidated prison. It's got far too many prisoners for the number of cells and staff that are there. And of course, invariably, whenever a prisoner escapes, it's down to someone making a bad decision, not doing their job properly, and that, of course, that happens only too often. But listen, for him not to be in Belmarsh means that the police don't consider him to be a huge threat to the public. But of course, anyone that's been charged with terrorist offences, albeit he's not been convicted yet, is really someone that needs to be behind bars, and the police will be doing everything they can to track him down. And I wouldn't think that he'll last too long unless he's able to get out of the country. I think that's his real only chance of a long-term freedom.
Chris, thank you. Chris Philips, former Met Chief Inspector, with us on the programme.